Hey, it's Kelsey, your best friend on the homestead from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a very simple but very effective tallow lip balm. Now, I do have another tallow video on here where I show you how to make a whipped tallow butter. To be honest with you, I just use that for lip balm. A lot of the times at night when I'm putting it on as a moisturizer, I just put it on my lips too. But I like having this lip balm recipe because it's something you can put in a tube and put in your pocket and carry it with you. It makes it a lot easier to take it on the go. If you're brand new to tallow, I honestly recommend checking out that video because I go into kind of a longer explanation about tallow and its properties and things like that. In this video, I'm going to keep it kind of more short and sweet, kind of cut to the chase here, and I'm going to put a little note down here on the bottom if you're already very familiar with tallow where you can hop ahead to the recipe. So real quick, tallow is an animal fat. It comes from ruminant animals, so we're talking goats, cows, sheep, bison, deer even, that sort of a thing. And so the fat is rendered, and I have a blog post about rendering it too. I can link to in the description box. And so you render it down, you cook it down, or you get it already rendered, and then you can use it in things like soap and skincare recipes. Now the reason why tallow is used by a lot of folks is because it is highly moisturizing and because it is very similar to sort of the same makeup as our own skin, that it's very easily absorbed and utilized by our skin. And again, if you want kind of a deeper explanation, check out that other video. So some people really like tallow, other people don't like it that much. It might not react well with their skin. It just depends on each individual. It's like any sort of skincare product, you get maybe the sample trial size first and try it out and see if it works. If it works great for you, wonderful. And if it doesn't, try something else. So I'm not saying tallow is going to work perfect for everybody, but it works really well for me and I really like this recipe. So to make this recipe, I do it really simply just in the microwave. I have a nice 2-cup glass measuring cup. I use this thing all the time. It is so nice to have, especially when you're making things like this or if you're making candles. It's just so versatile. So I use my glass 2-cup measuring cup, and then we're just going to microwave this. If you want to make a bigger batch, then you might want to do it over the stove top, especially as you're adding more beeswax. This has a fairly low amount of beeswax, and beeswax is highly flammable, so I wouldn't recommend microwaving a ton of beeswax, but for this little recipe and a little bit we're using and a little bit of time it's in the microwave, it works just fine. So the first thing we're going to put into our measuring cup, if you have one like this, is 3 teaspoons of rendered tallow. So this beautiful white tallow here that is from our beef steer that we process. I think this is actually about 2 years old. I just keep it in the freezer when I'm not using it, or keep it in the fridge, and it lasts a really long time. To that, I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of almond oil. If you have a nut allergy, another great option might be to use a grapeseed oil. You can really experiment with what sort of liquid oil you want to use in this. You might even want to try a lanolin if you want something that's going to be really thick and really lay it on. But otherwise, grapeseed and almond oil are typically pretty good kind of neutral oils to try. And then to that, we're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of beeswax. Now, you can see here the beeswax that I am using is from my actual hives, and so it hasn't been, cleaned to the point of most cosmetic waxes you're going to find on Amazon or wherever you get them. And so this still has a little bit of kind of pollen residue and a little bit of honey in it still. Neither one of those things is a problem for me when it comes to a lip balm, so that's why you'll see here as I start to melt this down, it's a little bit gritty. So just to recap, we want 3 teaspoons of tallow, 3 teaspoons of almond oil, and 2.5 teaspoons of beeswax. We're going to pop that in the microwave and do it, I'd say, in about 20-second bursts or so. Take it out and just use a little whisk to whisk it up. Do this until it is completely melted. Now here is where you can add in, if you want to put in some essential oils, or if you want to add in some lip safe kind of fragrance oils. I find that essential oils, a lot of times that the smell is going to fade a lot faster on you, unfortunately, as opposed to some of the higher quality just like scent type oils. So I will link to the company I like to use when I want to use those things. Otherwise, I'm using in this a vanilla absolute because I like the Burt's Bees vanilla lip balm, and so is my husband. So I'm kind of trying to copy that here with my tallow recipe. So I'm going to put in 8 drops of this, and that's what you want to kind of limit yourself to, is about 8 drops of any combination of essential oils. You want to make sure we keep that essential oil, if you're using essential oils, keep that kind of down. If you are going to be using like a lip safe kind of scent oil, a fragrance oil, then you want to just follow the instructions as to your dilution rates, as to how much you can put into your recipe. So just check your bottle if you're using those. Now the last thing I'd recommend adding, which I was completely out today, but if you have a bottle of vitamin E oil, just add about 2-3 drops to that. It really adds the conditioning properties, and vitamin E oil actually acts as a preservative a little bit to helping extend the longevity of other oils. It's pretty cool. So after you add in your fragrance and your essential E, then you give it another little whisk, and then we're going to pour it into our tubes. Now you can certainly use tins if you want to. I don't like to use tins because if I'm out and about and I've been like touching stuff, I don't want to then be touching that, touching my lips. So I just like to have it in these tubes. Again, I will link below to where I picked all these things up. These are all just things I grabbed on Amazon. So pour it into the tubes. And as you can see here, you go all the way to the top, and then you're just going to let it cool. Now these cool really fast. In the cooling process, sometimes you may have where you get like a little dip in the top. So now this recipe should make 5 tubes total, but I typically will fill maybe the first 4, let those kind of cool a little bit and see if I get a divot or not. And if I get a divot, then I just top it up a little bit with the oil that's left. And after you filled your tubes, you want to make sure that they cool completely. So I honestly, even though you could technically use these right away, I would let these cure for a couple of days. Then it's really everything's gonna solidify and harden up and make for a little more solid of a lip balm. So at that point, it is ready to use. It's ready to go. I recommend that you label these. You can get printable labels from Avery, has them, or you can just make some of your own and slap them on there. Worst comes to worst, just a little bit of permanent marker on there to label these so you don't forget what's in there. So there it is, a very simple tallow lip balm recipe for you. Now, I will link again to the whipped tallow butter video that I have. That one's gotten really popular, and I'll also link to some other DIY skincare recipes you might want to try yourself. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.